Amazing truth revealed. 5,000 GM V8 owners discover hidden secrets that are touching lives. Mike stared intently at the engine in front of him, grease smudged across his hands. It was a Saturday morning in Maplewood, where the soothing hum of V8 engines filled the air like a comforting melody. But today, that sound felt more like a weight on his chest. The pressure was building, a reminder of the mounting bills and a dream that felt like it was slipping through his fingers. But something unusual was happening. As he wiped his brow, Mike saw a notification pop up on his phone, an online forum dedicated to GM V8 enthusiasts. Over 5,000 members shared stories, tips, and challenges. Intrigued, he clicked in and found a flood of energy washing over him. People from all walks of life, forging bonds over their shared passion, recounting tales of triumph and resilience. "Mike, this is it," he whispered, heart racing. There was John, the veteran who rebuilt his life after losing his job, pouring himself into cars that became symbols of his hope. Then there was Lisa, a single mom who, against all odds, created a racing team to inspire her son while fighting her own battles. And the elderly couple, showcasing their classic rides, turned into pillars of support for local veterans. Each story resonated with him deeply, stirring emotions he hadn't felt in a long while. But just as he began to find belonging, reality reared its ugly head. News swept through the town that a major corporation, hungry for profit, planned to dismantle the local garage's dream. The devastation this would bring to Maplewood was palpable, shaking the very foundation of the community. Mike felt a tightness in his chest. How could he stand by while everything he cared about was ripped apart? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mike found himself standing on the precipice of a decision. Should he sell out for a quick paycheck or ally with his neighbors in this fight? The faces of his kids flashed in his mind, bright smiles and laughter, and suddenly the stakes became personal. This wasn't just about cars. It was about family, community, and the values they all cherished. The weight on his shoulders felt heavy like the steel engines he worked with. Conversations buzzed around him, and friends rallied to organize a protest. Mike's heart surged. A flicker of hope ignited a chance to rise together, reclaiming the spirit they held dear. He felt emboldened, ready to lend his voice, ready to stand for something greater than himself. But with that hope came fear. Would this moment of unity truly change anything, or was he just setting himself up for heartbreak? The roar of engines filled the air, their message reverberating like a clarion call, urging him on. As he looked toward the horizon, shadows from the looming corporate threat fell across Maplewood. But there was something else, a shimmer of light. What would it show him about courage, about the strength of family and community? In that moment, the engines roared louder, and Mike could almost see the future unfold. Would he seize the spark, or let it slip away? The roar of change was just beginning, and he was right in the center of it all. The buzz of excitement in the garage was palpable. Mike felt a renewed sense of purpose course through him, spreading like wildfire among his friends. They gathered around, poring over plans, brainstorming ways to fight back against the corporation's impending takeover. Ideas flew like sparks from a welding torch, flyers for protests, petitions, community meetings. Every voice counted, and every hand was needed. "Let us set a date for a rally," suggested John, his passion igniting everyone around him. "We need to show them we're not backing down." "Exactly," Lisa chimed in, her blue eyes gleaming. "We can get the whole town involved. This isn't just about us. It's about every family who has a stake in Maplewood." There wasn't a single doubt left in the air. Hope swelled among them, buoyed by the knowledge that they were not alone in this fight. As laughter and plans took shape, Mike's phone pinged again, a new notification lighting up the screen. It was another story, one that made his heart race. Someone had shared an article detailing how the local garage overlooked a hidden gem. The power of community. That he read aloud. "It says here that businesses thrive when supported by local passions. That's what we need to focus on. We're all connected through our love for these cars. The room erupted with cheers. For the first time in weeks, Mike felt lighter. Every burden he shouldered seemed to disperse like smoke on a breeze as he saw faces light up with determination and camaraderie. With growing excitement, they started crafting strategies to rally support throughout Maplewood. Soon, news of their protests spread past their small circle, and people began to share their own stories about what the garage meant to them. Some brought in their classic cars, revving engines to draw attention. Others shared childhood memories of the garage, bringing families together. The many tales were woven into a powerful narrative, binding them closer. But as the days drew nearer to the protest, tension mounted. Mike could almost feel the corporation's looming threat, a dark shadow casting doubt on their resolve. Doubts whispered to him in the silence of the night, keeping him awake. What if they failed? What if, despite all their efforts, it didn't matter? He couldn't ignore those fears, but they also led him to ponder something deeper. Was this fight merely for the garage? Or was it a fight for the very spirit of the town? For the laughter and community shared in those walls? He recalled the stories he'd read, each one echoing with resilience. This wasn't just about saving a garage. It was about keeping hope alive in a world that often tried to snuff it out. With a renewed conviction, Mike gathered his team one more time before the big day. He stood before them, courage replacing the last remnants of doubt. Look, this isn't just about us anymore. It's about everyone who's ever felt lost. We can show them what Maplewood stands for. Our spirit won't be broken. Cheers erupted again, but this time they felt different, deeper, more unified. They weren't just fighting for a building. They were rising for each other. As they prepared for the protest, the weight of uncertainty still loomed. The battle ahead wouldn't be easy. Just the thought of it filled him with both dread and resolve. But with the community by his side, Mike could almost see the finish line ahead. Would they triumph over the darkness? Would they ignite a blaze of hope that would resonate throughout Maplewood? The unexpected complexity of their fight was just beginning, and the real challenges awaited. But as they stepped into the light, voices raised, engines roaring, one question lingered. Could they really change their fate? Morning broke with a stubborn haze as Mike stepped outside, the air thick with tension and excitement. The day had finally arrived. It felt surreal, like a scene out of a movie. He glanced at the cluster of cars lined up, their shiny exteriors glistening under the reluctant sun. Each one represented a story, a piece of Maplewood's heart, just as the garage had for decades. Gathered around the makeshift stage, the community buzzed with anticipation. Friends, families, and neighbors filled the streets, wielding colorful signs that expressed love for their local gem. "Save the garage," one boldly exclaimed, while another declared, "Maplewood United." Their voices harmonized into a collective roar that vibrated through the as Mike climbed up to the stage. He felt the weight of 1,000 eyes focused on him. Heart racing, he scanned the faces of his neighbors. There was Mr. Anderson from the diner, clapping vigorously, and little Tommy, waving a tiny flag he'd made himself. He drew in a deep breath, letting the energy of the crowd fill him up. They needed him to be strong. "Thank you all for being here," he began, his voice steady but charged with emotion. "Today is more than just a protest. It's a celebration of us, our community. We're showing the world that Maplewood stands together." Cheers erupted, giving Mike an adrenaline rush. His courage grew stronger with each cheer as the speakers took their turns, sharing poignant stories of how the garage had touched their lives. Mike felt the core of their mission echo in every word. Lisa spoke about the time her father had fixed her first car there, talking about the lessons he taught her in that garage, priceless moments wrapped in grease and oil. John followed, sharing how the garage had been the place where friendships blossomed, a home away from home. With every heartfelt story, the crowd resonated with collective nostalgia, a powerful force knitting them all closer. Mike's heart felt lighter than it had in weeks. This wasn't just a fight. It was the celebration of a lifetime woven into their shared histories. Suddenly, a commotion at the fringes of the crowd drew his attention. A group of suited corporate representatives arrived, cutting through the joyous atmosphere like a knife. Mike's gut tightened. They were here, and as they strode closer, it felt like a confrontation was imminent. The laughter faded, tension weaving through the crowd like an unwelcome guest. One of the executives stepped up to a microphone, his slick voice cold and calculated. "We're here to inform you that your little protest has been noted. However, it's pointless. The garage is set to be sold, and nothing can stop it." Gasps echoed through the crowd, hearts sinking like stones. Mike felt panic swirl in his chest, but he couldn't let that show. Instead, he stepped forward, determination welling inside. "Pointless," he shouted back, voice firm. "This community is anything but pointless. We are the heartbeat of Maplewood, and no corporation can take that away." Inspired murmurs rippled among the crowd as they rallied, echoing Mike's words. His statement rang through the air, igniting the flames of their fight anew. As the crowd cheered, Mike caught sight of Lisa, her face radiating fire. It hit him, this wasn't a battle against just a corporation. It was a battle to uphold their way of life, to remind everyone what really mattered. But even as the cheers rose higher, doubt began to creep back in. Would their fight truly matter in the face of such corporate power? Could they hold their ground against the looming threat? Then, just as Mike was about to lose himself in worry, a startling revelation flashed through his mind. There were secrets hidden within their community that could change everything. Ancient ties, shared resources, collective wisdom that could arm them in unexpected ways. With newfound determination, he turned back to the crowd, ready to share his vision, ready to ignite a fire within their souls. This was only the beginning. What possibilities awaited if they unraveled the true potential lying dormant in Maplewood's heart? As Mike opened his mouth to speak, the air crackled with exhilarating anticipation. What truths would emerge? And could those secrets be the key to defeating the corporation once and for all? "Listen up, everyone." Mike breathed deeply, his heart pounding in response to the simmering energy swirling around him. The tension in the air was heavy, yet the faces in the crowd glowed with determination, their loyalty to Maplewood evident in the way they stood shoulder to shoulder. "I know this feels like an uphill battle, but we have something they don't." Community. He paused, letting the words sink in. A murmur spread through the crowd, a ripple of recognition. "Our stories. Our connections. Think about what the garage means to us. It's more than just a building full of tools and oil, it's the foundation of our relationships." As he spoke, he noticed little Tommy clutching his flag tighter, eyes wide with hope. In that moment, Mike felt a rush of inspiration. What if we harnessed that? What if we uncovered the history of this place? People shifted, intrigued by the idea. There are stories we haven't even tapped into. Old cars that hold whispers of joy and sorrow. Local artisans who keep the spirit of Maplewood alive. Hidden treasures within our own backyards. If we reach out to these people, if we uncover those connections, we can mount a defense stronger than any corporation. The vibrations of encouragement grew, a rising tide fueled by the promise of unity. Lisa stepped forward, her voice clear. "I remember my grandfather talking about the old car shows they used to have in the garage. Those weren't just events. They were gatherings that ignited friendships for life. What if we brought back that spirit and rallied everyone around a new event, with the garage as the centerpiece?" The crowd erupted in applause, the idea taking root in their hearts. Mike felt his own heartbeat sync with the rhythm of their enthusiasm. They could do this. They could bring everyone together. "But we need to act fast," Mike continued. "The corporation wants us to believe we're cornered, but they don't know us. They don't know what happens when Maplewood comes together." The energy shifted, an electric buzz sparking among the crowd as they began to brainstorm. What started as individual stories blossomed into plans for a festival, ideas for art shows, and even a car rally that would flood the streets with vintage vehicles, celebrating their heritage and the beloved garage. Amidst the excitement, doubt crept back into Mike's mind. What if it doesn't work? What if we don't have enough time? But before he could spiral, a hand rested on his shoulder. It was Mr. Anderson, his eyes warm. "This is just the beginning, son. No matter how this plays out, we stand together. You're not just fighting for a garage. You're fighting for the heart of Maplewood." Those words sank deep. Maybe this wasn't about victory or defeat. It was about bonding closer as a community, igniting a legacy that extended far beyond any corporate plan. Hope surged within him, brighter than it had been mere moments ago. "All right, let us get to work," Mike shouted, his voice steady and proud. "Let us gather those stories. Let us share our history. We'll show them what Maplewood is truly made of. The crowd roared in agreement, an exhilarating promise pulsing through them all. As they began organizing, Mike felt a new focus settle over him. But in the midst of the excitement, a shadow danced at the edges of his thoughts. The corporation wouldn't just sit idly by. What if they had a trick up their sleeve? A deeper strategy to undermine Maplewood's unity? What if the fight was just beginning and hidden dangers awaited? Mike knew one thing for sure: secrets needed to be unearthed, and the clock was ticking. Every moment counted. Could they rally the strength of the past to safeguard their future? As the crowd dispersed, the enthusiastic chatter still buzzing in the air, Mike turned to Lisa and a few other key leaders of the initiative. They huddled together near a makeshift table cluttered with papers, markers, and enthusiasm forged from their shared purpose. "We need a plan," Mike said, determination etched on his face. "Absolutely," Lisa replied, tapping her pencil against the table. "We should create a timeline. Map out who we want to reach out to and when. We need to gather those stories and make the festival happen all in the next few weeks." It's a tight schedule. The sun began to dip low, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, casting a warm glow over their surroundings. Yet, despite the beauty of the evening, Mike could feel an undercurrent of pressure, the walls of time creeping closer. What if we write letters to the people who have lived here for decades?" Tommy chimed in, his excitement infectious. "My grandma knows a lot about the garage. She used to take me there all the time. There are so many memories. I bet she has stories to share." "That's a fantastic idea," Lisa said, a smile spreading across her face. "Everyone has someone special to turn to. If we spread the word, we could find stories in every corner of Maplewood." A wave of hope swept through Mike as they discussed reaching out to local artists, car enthusiasts, and even schools for the younger generation to participate. They envisioned art displays telling the garage's story, old friends reconnecting over food stalls, and kids learning about mechanics from the seasoned veterans of Maplewood. But as the excitement simmered, Mike couldn't help but steal glances at the empty garage in the distance, its presence looming like a reminder of what was at stake. "Have you all considered how the corporation might react?" he asked, his brow furrowing. "What do you mean?" Lisa asked, her confidence wavering slightly. "They might not sit back and let us create this community event," Mike cautioned. "We need to be prepared for anything. They could try to sabotage it. We can't let them tear apart what we're building." The group fell silent, the weight of reality settling in. The excitement of their plans clashed with the cold uncertainty of the corporate giant lurking just outside their bubble of hope. "Maybe we can set up some defenses, suggested a nearby neighbor, nodding earnestly. "Protect our stories. We should have a rally or a meeting to remind everyone what we're fighting for." "Exactly." Mike seized the idea, a fire igniting in his chest. "We're not just putting on a show. We're standing up for who we are. Every story we gather is a brick in our wall of resistance. Let us hold a meeting, invite everyone," Lisa said, already scribbling it down. "We'll call it Save the Garage, Save Our Legacy. It'll lay the groundwork for our event and unite the community against any threats." "Right," Mike said, his mind racing with possibilities. They were moving swiftly, but a question loomed in the back of his mind. Would it be enough? Were they equipped to face repercussions from a company that saw their garage merely as a financial opportunity? That evening, as they gathered the last of their notes and began to disperse, Mike felt a knot of apprehension settling in his stomach. If the corporation chose to strike first, would they be ready? They had unity. They had stories. But could it withstand the might of a corporate machine? As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, casting shadows across the streets of Maplewood, Mike stood resolute, ready to face whatever storm lay ahead. With determination defined in his eyes, he murmured to himself, "Whatever comes next, we will fight together." Unbeknownst to him, a shadow skulked at the edges of the garage, where the real battle lines were being drawn. The fight for Maplewood was about to take a turn that no one expected. What was the corporation hiding, and how far would they go to crush the spirit of a community? The first rays of dawn broke, spilling golden light into the quiet streets of Maplewood. Mike sat at his kitchen table, a lukewarm cup of coffee in hand, staring blankly at a blank notepad. He had a dozen ideas swimming in his mind, but every time he reached for a pen, the weight of uncertainty gripped him. Could they really pull this off? Would their voices be loud enough to drown out the corporation's greed? Just then, a loud knock shattered his thoughts. Startled, Mike stood up and opened the door to reveal Lisa, her face bright and determined, her notebook cradled in her arm like a shield. "Mike, we have to act fast. The community meeting is in just a few days, and we need to get everyone excited," she said with a burst of energy. "There's been talk of more people wanting to help. Is that right?" Mike answered, newfound hope flickering in his chest. "What are they saying?" "They're interested in sharing their stories and memories. I heard Mrs. Peterson wants to bring her old photo albums. And the high school drama club might put on skits about the garage's history." As Lisa spoke, it was like a weight lifted slightly. But still, a gnawing feeling lingered. "That's awesome," he replied cautiously. "But what if the corporation tries to shut us down?" Lisa's eyes sparkled defiantly. "We can't let that fear paralyze us. We have to show the community what's at stake. This isn't just about saving a garage. It's about preserving who we are." In that moment, something shifted within Mike. "You're right," he said, conviction flowing through him. "We'll create an event that no one can ignore." They spent the morning drafting flyers, outlining what they needed for the rally. As they scribbled down resources and ideas, the feeling of exhilaration began to outweigh their fears. They envisioned banners that told stories, live music from neighbors who played guitar on weekends, and food stands filled with homemade treats. The plan was coming together, and so was their resolve. "We should also make it clear that this is a grassroots movement," Lisa suggested, enthusiasm radiating off her. "It's our legacy that we're saving. People need to feel that connection." "Exactly." Mike nodded, a sense of purpose flooding him. "It's not just about the garage, it's everything it represents. Community, friendship, memories, it's our identity." As the meeting day approached, excitement electrified the atmosphere in Maplewood. Families began to come together, sharing stories that flowed like old songs, and a spirit of unity began to rise. Mike felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of hope. He began to envision the turnout growing bigger than he'd imagined, a beacon of defiance against corporate disregard. But just as they felt invigorated, whispers started to circulate about the corporation's plans. They were moving more aggressively than anyone anticipated. Rumors suggested they were secretly planning to demolish the garage under guise, a swift blow in a game where they made the rules. "Mike, we have to prepare for any backlash," Lisa said with a hard edge in her voice. "We need to consider how to protect our stories. This isn't just a celebration anymore. It's a fight." As they contemplated their strategy, shadows crept along the outskirts of their vision. The corporation wasn't just lurking, they were preparing their own strategy too. As dusk settled in, Mike felt a chill run down his spine. The stakes were higher than ever, and the real battle was just beginning. "What if they come for us before we're ready?" he whispered, the question hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Suddenly, the door creaked open, a figure half hidden by the fading light. It was Tommy, his face pale and eyes wide. "You're not going to believe what I just heard. It's worse than we thought," he gasped. What had Tommy stumbled upon? What secrets lay hidden in the shadows of their beloved garage? And how far would the corporation go to dismantle their hope? Tommy's breath came out in quick bursts, his excitement a stark contrast to the heavy atmosphere in the room. Mike narrowed his eyes, sensing the urgency in his friend's voice. "What do you mean, Tommy? Just spit it out." "They're planning something big," Tommy said, stepping fully into the light. "I overheard some of their guys talking. They're not just going to demolish the garage. They want to take over the entire block. All those businesses, gone. They're going to turn it into a shopping center or some kind of development." The words hit Mike like a slap. The garage was just one part of the fabric of Maplewood, and yet here was a threat that loomed larger than he'd imagined. "What are we supposed to do?" he asked, feeling his pulse kick up in fear. That's everything." Lisa's face tightened, but then she took a deep breath. "We need to rally the community like never before. We have to show them that our fight is their fight." Tommy nodded, trying to catch his breath. "Exactly. But we also have to get the word out quickly. If they're making moves, we might not have much time before they start laying the groundwork." Mike raked his hand through his hair, glancing at the pile of flyers on the table. Their peaceful little protest had just escalated into a war zone. What do we even say? It's hard to get people to rally behind a panic. "Don't sugarcoat it," Lisa replied, her voice steady. "Tell them what they're really doing." This is about all of us here. Each story matters. Every brick of that garage is a part of who we are. But they don't see that. We need to make them feel it. Mike felt a resurgence of strength. It was time to act. Let us organize a neighborhood meeting tonight, he said, shaking off the anxiety. Let us draw people in. If Tommy overheard this, then others have probably seen or heard something too. As they moved into planning mode, Mike noticed a shift in the air. The sense of despair was still lurking, but it was now mixed with a fierce determination that made his heart racing with a newfound purpose. Hours passed, and soon they were preparing flyers to capture the urgency of their call. We won't just be lost in grief over the garage. We'll show them what they'll be destroying, Lisa emphasized. This is about our families, our history, our future. Later that evening, the meeting space filled to overflowing. Neighbors shuffled in, their expressions a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. Mike stood before them, his heart pounding. The first words caught in his throat. Thank you all for coming tonight, he began, scanning the crowd. What I have to share isn't easy. You might have heard rumors about the corporation's plans. It's worse than we thought. The room hushed, anticipation hanging thick in the air as he unveiled the truth Tommy had discovered. Faded faces turned bright with disbelief, then hardened into determination as they processed what was at stake. Voices started to ripple through the crowd. Some began to share their memories tied to the garage. Others shouted out concerns about the effects on their businesses. The energy grew, the spark igniting a fire within everyone present. Just as it felt like steam was gathering in a pot, an unyielding, deep voice resonated from the back of the room. How are we supposed to stop a corporation like that? They'll just crush us. The crowd fell silent, a mix of hope and fear weighing down the moment. Questions and doubts filled the air, bodies shifting in restless uncertainty. But then Lisa stepped forward, her eyes fierce and unwavering. Because we're not just a crowd. We're a community. Together, we can fight back. A wave of agreement rippled through the room. Mike felt a pulse of energy thrumming. Everyone ready to take on this monumental fight. If the garage represented their memories, this was the moment to craft their future. But just as the meeting reached its fervor, a sudden loud crash echoed from outside. Break glass could be heard, voices shouted, cheerful, bewildering chaos boiling over from the parking lot. What now? Mike gasped, confusion and dread flooding his heart. As he rushed outside, he could barely imagine what awaited him. Was the corporation already throwing down its gauntlet? What trouble lurked at their doorstep, waiting to silence their voices before they found their strength? The night air was thick with tension as Mike stumbled outside, breathless and wide-eyed. The scene was nothing like he expected. Instead of corporate goons or angry townsfolk, he found a crowd of people, laughter and celebration swirling around them like confetti on a summer breeze. Is this a party or a protest? He muttered, half expecting to see a giant inflatable rat or a marching band chase the developers away. Mike, Tommy shouted, excitement in his voice. Come here. Mike pushed his way through the crowd, catching snippets of conversation. Free food. Can you believe it? The kids have a bouncy castle. Wait until you see the fireworks. He reached Tommy, who stood near the grill, handing out hot dogs with a wide smile. Where did this come from? Mike asked, bewildered. Mrs. Taylor organized it. She thought we needed to boost morale, keep spirits up. But how can we fight a corporation with hot dogs and fireworks? Tommy shrugged, his mouth full, yet his eyes sparkled with optimism. You'd be amazed at what a little community spirit can do. Folks are starting to show up, ready to fight back. And this could be the heart of it all. Lisa joined them, her brow furrowed. Mike, we should use this moment. Gather everyone. Turn this celebration into a rally for our cause. A spark ignited an idea in Mike's mind. You mean we could rally the troops here? Get everyone fired up? It's not just about the anger anymore. Exactly, Lisa said, her voice rising with conviction. This is about love, about community. We need to make them feel that. A sense of purpose can build momentum. With a collective breath, they started moving. Mike climbed up on a picnic table, waving for everyone's attention. Hey everyone, I know we're having a good time, but I want to share something important. Laughter faded as faces turned toward him. The warmth of the grill flickered against the cool night air. We just learned something shocking. That garage you all love? They want to tear it down. But we can't let this slide. We fight for each other, for our memories. This right here, He gestured broadly. This is our strength. A community united in hope, in history, in what's to come. Tommy cheered, and soon voices echoed back, affirming his message. The crowd's mood shifted, energy crackling like electricity. Let us come together. Make signs. Plan now while the fire's hot. A teenager called from the back, gripping a half-eaten hot dog like it was a microphone. Amidst the laughter, smiles began to bloom, the spirit of the night blossoming into an unexpected unity. Even the older folks, once skeptical, found themselves with their heads held high, rekindling their sense of community. They formed small groups, brainstorming ideas and sharing stories of what the garage meant to them. Mike felt the weight on his chest begin to lift. It was suddenly clear this battle wasn't just about stopping a corporation. It was about preserving their way of life, the ties that bound them together. But just as laughter erupted over a joke made about the grill's charred offerings, a harsh motorcycle engine revved nearby, slicing through their celebration like a hot knife. Heads turned, eyes narrowing on a sleek black motorcycle pulling up at the curb. Silence seeped back into the crowd, uncertainty brewing again. Who was that? What did they want? A tall figure dismounted, clad in leather, a menacing glare directed right at Mike. Looks like you're all having a party. Just wanted to introduce myself, he said, voice dripping with sarcasm. Mike's heart raced. Who are you? The man's smile turned into something wicked. The person you'll soon regret fighting against. The looming threat hung palpably in the air, tension swirling like summer storm clouds waiting to burst. Mike swallowed hard. Did they just awaken a beast they weren't ready to face? The moment felt charged, and all eyes were now on Mike. Would he rise to this new challenge? They united in celebration, but could they band together against the dark undercurrents threatening their home? As the crowd awaited his response, all he could think was, what now? Mike's heart raced as the leather-clad man stepped forward, an unsettling grin stretched across his face. The air thickened with unease. He could feel the stares of his neighbors, all waiting for him to take the first step. The fiery spirit sparked moments ago now felt fragile, like a candle fighting against a gale. Who do you think you are? Mike managed to say, voice steadier than he felt. Just your friendly neighborhood developer, the man replied, crossing his arms, his demeanor taunting. I didn't come to crash your little party. I came to remind you that hope isn't a strategy. Sounds like you're scared of hope, someone called out from the crowd, the challenge in their voice igniting a ripple of support. The man's smile faltered, but he quickly recovered, looking back at Mike. This isn't just a garage. It's a business deal with real money at stake. And your community? Well, let us just say it's not enough to stand in our way. Not enough? Mike echoed, frustration surging, fueling his resolve. You don't know us. We're more than just a community, we're a family. And families don't crumble just because someone wants to take something away from them. With every word, he felt the crowd lean a little closer, a sense of camaraderie lighting up the air again. You're cute, kid, the developer sneered, stepping closer, but Mike squared his shoulders. He could see flickers of unease in the man's eyes, as if his bravado was more of an act than he let on. The crowd began murmuring, voices rising. This is our home. We won't back down. Each declaration strengthened the notion that they could fight back. Listen, everyone, Mike shouted, taking a step forward. We don't have to fight him tonight, but we can make our presence known. Tomorrow, we unite, and we make sure they know we won. Just roll over. We need to be loud, be visible. The murmur turned into a swell of agreement, voices overlapping, electrified by the idea. I say we set up a rally at the garage. Show them we care. Tommy yelled, raising his hands in a gesture of triumph. Let us make signs. Tell our stories. Lisa added, urgency lacing her words. Share what this place means to us. As enthusiasm spread, the tension in the air shifted once again. The developer's bravado flickered at the edges as he absorbed their energy. He stepped back, glancing at his motorcycle, his confidence cracking like old paint. You think a few signs and a rally will change anything? You'll regret this, he warned, his voice low, but Mike felt unstoppable. Let them come. We'll meet them with hope, with love, and show them the strength of our community. The crowd erupted in cheers, a chorus of empowered voices now. The sense of fear had transformed into a unity they'd never anticipated. With that, the biker turned abruptly, straddling his motorcycle, the engine roaring to life, drowning out any response Mike might have had. But even as the man drove away, Mike felt a weight lift. Tomorrow, he whispered to himself, excitement rushing through him. Tomorrow, we fight for what we love. As the celebration regained its quirky warmth and laughter bounced back in the air, Mike looked at the faces around him. They were no longer just neighbors. They were warriors ready to defend their shared history. But just as laughter filled the night, the realization hit him hard. Was this only the beginning? The beginning? What else lay ahead? Hidden behind the wall of the developer's smirk, the glowing embers of possibility crackled in Mike's heart. But now he faced a new trepidation. If pushing back was their path forward, how much would they lose in the process? The sun peaked over Maplewood, bathing the quiet streets in golden light. Today was the day. Mike stood at the old garage, heart pounding, surrounded by friends and neighbors. Spirits were high, but there was an undercurrent of anxiety. The weight of the corporation's threat loomed over them, a reminder of what they were fighting for. "Let us do this," Lisa called, her voice breaking the silence. She stepped forward, holding a megaphone decorated with colorful stickers, every bit of flair reflecting their collective spirit. "Today is about more than just saving the garage," she announced, her voice fierce and clear. "It's about standing together as a community. Every one of us has a story tied to this place, and we need to remind them why we won't back down." The crowd responded with cheers, each echoing voice fueling the fire within Mike's heart. He felt an unwavering sense of purpose swelling inside. Today wasn't merely about bricks and mortar. It was about legacy, about the lives intertwined with memories forged beneath the roof of their beloved garage. As the rally progressed, neighbors climbed onto makeshift platforms to share their stories. Mike's chest swelled with pride as old friends recounted fond memories of laughter, learning, and camaraderie at that very spot. Little Tommy recited his favorite memory of helping his dad fix up the family car, eyes shining with childhood wonder. Together, we made this garage a cornerstone of what it means to be from Maplewood, Mike bellowed as he finally took the stage. "Corporations see us as numbers, but we're more than that. We're a family. We thrive on connection, love, and shared experiences." The crowd erupted with applause, and Mike could see hope flaring in their eyes. With every story told, they layered a shield of resolve against the threats that hovered on the horizon. But just as laughter filled the air again, the ominous sound of motorcycle engines cut through the moment, a harsh reminder of the looming danger. The crowd collectively tensed, eyes darting toward the source, where the developer loomed again with his crew, their presence cutting a figure of intimidation against the brightness of the day. "Another rally?" the developer called out, a smirk plastered across his face. "Don't you see? Every cheer, every story doesn't change the fact that we hold the cards. It's time to accept the inevitable." "Not today," Mike shot back, stepping forward, his voice steady despite the tension. "We've heard all the empty threats. You don't know us. You don't know our strength." "That strength won't be enough," the developer replied. But his confidence seemed shaky, and Mike sensed the unease rippling through his entourage. "Let us channel that uncertainty," Mike urged the crowd. "Use that doubt. Every story told today, every sign raised, it all matters. This is our legacy, our future at stake. We're not just fighting for a garage, we're fighting for each other." Cheers echoed from the crowd, their unity palpable. The developer's facade cracked, his bravado faltering. "We'll leave you to your little crusade," he shot back, but his words lacked venom as he turned to walk away, his crew glancing behind them with uncertainty. The moment they left, the community erupted into spontaneous celebration, a collective sigh of relief wrapped in joy. Laughter rang out as they hugged and congratulated each other, hope pulsing in the air like electricity. Mike couldn't help but smile, a radiant sense of accomplishment blossoming in his chest. "We did it. We found our voice." "Yes," Lisa shouted, her eyes sparkling. "But we can't stop here. We need to keep this momentum. We can organize more events, spread our stories wider. This isn't just the culmination. It's the beginning of a movement. Let us make the garage a community center," someone else piped in. "We can have workshops, gatherings, and activities that bring us closer." Yes, ideas spread like wildfire, laughter coloring their words as they envisioned a stronger Maplewood binding itself into a new legend, marking its territory against corporate giants. As the sun dipped later, casting a warm glow over their gathering, Mike stood back and absorbed the moment. The weight on his chest had evaporated, replaced by lightness and exhilaration. That night, something shifted beneath the surface. A spirit awakened, one that would not easily succumb to greed or fear. Together, they had proven their resilience, uncovering their hidden strength through unity and love. And as Mike looked around at the smiling faces, his heart raced with an undeniable certainty they would protect their home, every story, and every connection, together. This wasn't just a fight for the garage. It was a fight for the heart of Maplewood. As the crowd slowly began to filter away, Mike knew they had only begun to scratch the surface of what was possible. He leaned in toward Lisa, excitement bubbling. Let us keep pushing, keep reaching out. We can turn this into a legacy unlike any other. The journey was far from over, but as he walked toward home, Mike felt ready for anything. And maybe, just maybe, they would scrape together a victory that echoed in Maplewood for generations. You need to subscribe now to stay updated on exclusive transformations and stories that inspire. Leave a like to support our hard work and fuel the algorithm. Your engagement means everything. Comment below with your feelings about this incredible journey, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who also need to see this inspiring transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second. Show your support for this channel.